So what's happening is they're concerned that you're probably lowering the Bible and raising up the church. Right? We have a big concern of this in the Protestant world. And that's never happened. You have to tell them things. You have to tell them stories. You say, imagine a body of people that never had Bibles because they were illiterate, there was no printing press, and they were around for 1,800 years. If I took your Bible away and you lived in a community where there were no Bibles, how necessary would church feel to you? It would feel very necessary, right? And so it's very difficult for any of us in this modern age to talk about any denomination and their importance on the Bible versus not the Bible when they came about after the printing press. People needed the church because there was no Bible. We needed icons because we couldn't read. Right? So maybe I found a little bit of an answer for you. It took me a while.
I wanted to ask a question on sort of roadblocks and evangelization. So this is more on the personal level. So, you're talking to your best friends. You love them, they love you, you understand each other. I have a lot of friends that are like, I've gotten this a lot from other people. They'll say, like, if I were to become a Christian, I would be Orthodox. Like, the church is beautiful, I just don't believe it. And at that point, like, you love this person, you've evangelized with love because they're one of your best friends, and there's really, I'm sure a bit of more holiness would definitely help anything, but that's up to them at that point. But then one of the things that...
Before we go any further,
yes,
can I ask you some questions?
Yeah.
What do they not believe?
They don't believe in God.
Why?
Because they don't see enough of that. So
why don't they?
Because there's not enough holiness around them. So that was my... Why?
What is it how are they explaining what happens in their life?
I don't know. I think just they're basically. I mean, if you don't believe in God, you essentially have to sort of resort to nihilism. There's no point to anything, and they're depressed about the world. They're but they don't believe they haven't seen enough evidence for God.
Okay.
So it's sort of a kind of general malaise and anxiety over the world, but it's not going to get any better.
Do they believe that everything is literally here by chance, even matter?
They don't want to, but they don't have a reason to be able to, in their view.
Okay. So do they believe that they have a purpose in life, or that everything's just complete chance?
Mostly that there probably isn't a purpose, and that at best you have to make your own purpose.
Okay. So have you noticed that you haven't spoken in any absolutes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there are little crevices, little pieces that you need to hold on to and nurture in their lives. Mm-hmm. Not the big chasms where it's gone. You said mostly. Mm-hmm. Mostly. There's a little bit of a seed left in these people.
Well, I've noticed that, and that's why I haven't given up hope. The people that I worry more about are the people where they may even love the faith. They may love Jesus as a person, but they have ideologies sort of that will distance them from that. They will never convert to orthodoxy unless we accept gay marriage or various other things that they demand that we capitulate in order to accept the Orthodox Church as the truth. And so they would be willing to believe, but it's with a whole bunch of conditions. And how do you deal with those kind of people?
I think what you're doing is you're jumping ahead on things that y'all aren't ready to talk about. Mm-hmm. Because you have to start at the agreement. And so you have to keep searching and searching and searching until you and your friends are at a point of agreement. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it usually just starts with we like each other. Mm-hmm. I enjoy your company. We have a starting point. Mm-hmm. Why do you enjoy my company? Why does he enjoy your company? Okay? And it slowly grows. All right? Without that point of agreement and constantly coming back to that, your relationship will not even maintain. Separate from whether or not your goal of trying to share God's love with them. Same thing in a marriage, right? If I don't come back to that common ground that we have, the common ground disintegrates. And all of a sudden we don't have a marriage. What are we? Who are we? Who are you? I don't recognize you. I'm married to you, but I don't know you, right? So you need to keep that common ground very tight and really understand their struggles. And then search for ways of how has the Orthodox Church answered and dealt with those struggles. So for example, let's say someone says that Jesus is a fraud and all of his followers were a fraud. Or Jesus was just a man and they lied about him. Okay, this is what the Muslim faith says about the apostles. That he really was a prophet, he was amazing, they even say he did miracles. They revere Jesus as a prophet who did miracles, but they say the apostles lied to promote themselves. Well, the historical references I've read, non-Christian, say that when Christianity came about, they were killed, tortured, persecuted. There was no fame, there was no glory, there was no money. Let's be a little honest. Some guys like to do things for the women, right? They weren't getting women. Okay? They weren't getting anything other than horrible lives, difficult lives. And they died for it too, for 300 years. Now, what would compel 12 men to fabricate a lie and die for it when there is no known gain in what we would consider important? There's something a little different about this group. When has this ever else happened in time? Right? Something's a little different. And it didn't die with those 12 people. We've seen cults and short movements where this has happened, and then it died with them. It didn't die with them. It got bigger. Every time a Christian grew, there were 2 more Christians. I mean, every time a Christian died, 2 more popped up. Why? Because they weren't dying for a lie. Because it began with a witness of what really happened. And so there's some things that we need to go back and relearn. Why would these people die for Jesus? That testifies to who Jesus was. You need to get back to some basics. That's what I think. That's what I have to do with some of my friends who really struggle with the idea of God and Jesus and different comments. We get back to just some basic psychology of why would these people follow him? And I haven't had an answer yet of them saying, I mean, you could say they were 12 madmen. When have 12 now you've had 12 men led by a madman, and when the madman died, and he didn't come back raised from the dead, they went, oh, well, we were wrong about him, right? But can you have 12 madmen coordinate and write the Gospels and do all the things they do? And historically, we have it recorded, all the things they did. Was that madmen? Was it madmen who would go into the cities when there was a plague and serve people? You know? So I think if you get back to that root of what was initially happening, you need maybe to go back there, and over time it'll take you here.
So you would say where with the people that have these sort of conditions for I would be Orthodox were it not for this list of things that I want Orthodoxy to accept and change, in order for me to become Orthodox, is to focus on what they do love about Jesus Christ and the faith and all that kind of stuff, and focus on that, and eventually it'll just round out the edges and the square. Well,
I'm not saying they'll ever agree with it. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that we're jumping ahead.
Yeah.
We're arguing about something that may never be an issue. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about things that really are an issue right now.
Yeah.
And that is, who is Jesus Christ? Mm-hmm. And if they're willing to talk about who Jesus Christ is, if they're at that point, it's okay to hang out there for a while. Because that's what really is the most important. If they can get around and agree with the idea of the Nicene Creed, talk about worlds ahead of where they are now. I know some very devout Orthodox people that support gay marriage. Mm-hmm. They're not in agreement with the church on that. But they're at that point to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Right? Your friends aren't at that point. Yeah, so what they're trying to put up as a divisive issue is being fed from the devil. Mm-hmm. The devil knows what's going to divide them from the church. Take them back to what they have in common with it. Mm-hmm. Do we need to take a break? Yep. Okay. Sorry. All right. So who's can tell us what our schedule is?